Hi, I'm Alison and welcome to the China Repair Studio. So today I thought I would finish off these two Staffordshire dogs. Now if you haven't seen any of my previous tutorials, I would highly recommend you watch those first so you can see how we've gone through the process of fixing these little two dogs. Now what I'm going to do today is finish them off. So what I'd like to do is I would like to finish putting some varnish on this one. Now I have painted him in, so I thought I would paint him first and then show you how I would then finish him off with varnish, because you can't paint and then straight away put the varnish on, it takes time to dry. So I thought I'd varnish him last and finish painting this one. As you can see, he's missing a few bits and pieces and he needs to be, as I can see there's some here, he needs another piece of black. So we need to just finish painting him in and then I will show you again, as I say, the varnish. Right, so what you'll need is a couple of kitchen roll pieces or an old cloth, just something to protect your surface with. I have here my Rustin's ceramic glaze, which I transfer into a pot, which does open, it gets quite tricky to open. And I'm going to use some black paint for his little splodges, if you like. And I've got here, it's a Winsor & Newton professional acrylic, and this colour is called Mars Black. And it was a very good black because, a bit like white, black comes in unbelievably lots of different tones. So I've been using this. And I'm also going to use, I've discovered this, and it's lovely liquid leaf, which is the right colour for his lead or his collar. And so I'm going to do the same on him and finish him off with using this. Now I also have a glass of clean water, just so we can put our brushes in afterwards and actually to also mix in with the acrylic. And of course an assortment, an array of brushes. So what we're going to do first, I think we're going to put the black splodges, finish off this guy. So what we're going to do is, I'll get him a bit closer so you can see. Now when I look into the light, I can see he needs some black here, because obviously where we have put use the airbrush, it's covered over, but we needed to cover that over, so he needs a bit of black there, and I can see another black splodge there and a little bit there as well. Now what I'm going to do, actually looking at him with his collar here, so I'm not doing it completely by freehand, I'm going to just pencil it in so we get a good line. So I've got here a sharp pencil, perhaps it's in here, here we go, let's use this. We have a sharp pencil, so I just want to slightly draw the line. You don't want to go too heavy because remember it's got paint on it. So you can see it's just a slight line, just to give us an idea of where we need to put our liquid leaf. And then, so he would go up to there, and then we go through onto the other side where he's missing also some gold gilding. So I'd use my pencil again and just so you've got an idea. That one I'd have slightly up higher. There we go. So we know where we're going to be doing our gilding, so we'll do that last. I think what we're going to do first, as I say, are the black splodges. So what you need is, let's see, I haven't come that prepared today, so I've got a white plate and I'm just going to put on just a little bit of the acrylic. Now you can use powder pigments, which take a little time to dissolve, and you always want to make sure that all the particles have dissolved, whereas if you do use acrylics, they are so much easier and slightly more readily available. Now I bought this in my local shop, my local art shop, but you can buy these on Amazon and but obviously if you can find a local art shop to keep them in business, it's great. So a little bit of that, and then we're going to take, I think we're just to mix up, let's look at these, get the slightly smaller one, and I'm going to get some water, just put it onto the plate and then just gently mix. Now, consistency wise, you don't want it to be too thick, but you don't want it to be too runny either. Otherwise, you're going to lose that pigmentation and you'd have to cover over twice, and you just make more hard work for yourself. So once we've got that mixed in, this is a point where you add just a tiny bit of ceramic glaze just to help key it on. So I would take a cocktail stick and open up the rustins. Now you just need a tiny bit, that just literally just 1 or 2 little dollops, and that will do. Now if you can't get hold of rustins, which I believe you can only buy in England and the UK, there are equivalents. I know that I've seen, which one is it? It's the same as this, Winsor & Newton sell on .com. I'm not sure whether it is actually food safe, so you'd have to look at the instructions and the information, but there are other ones you can use, and maybe slightly cheaper variations, because the rustins, you know, it's about £28, but there are cheaper variations. Right, so now we've mixed that together, I want to take a bit off there, and then we're just going to put this down here, try to keep organised. Right, now first of all I can just see where here he just needs a little bit more of a tart up, from where I can see where I've just missed a few bits. It doesn't have to be precise, and I think that's, yeah, that's quite good. And then I can see here a big dark splodge underneath the white, and we're just going to gently. Now the good thing about having you doing something like Staffordshire pottery figures is that they are quite naive and nothing's identical. It is all slightly hand painted in, so you don't need to worry too much. And then I can see again it's got another dark part there. I do like to use quite a large brush on this. Let me just make a little splodge there for him. So he's got his splodging on there. Yeah, that's good. Now looking at the foot, he just needs a little bit here. And is there any others? Yeah, here, if you can see, just needs, that's where we've did the, seems to go that way slightly. This is the part I enjoy the most actually. I love hand painting in. It's got a bit down. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Maybe a bit there. Right, so once I'm quite satisfied with how he is there, so I just got bits of, if you ever get anything on there, that's probably where I was doing the previous one a couple of days ago, you can always take it off with your fingernail, but don't go too far, otherwise you'll ruin other pieces. Now I can see his feet. I'm going to try and go further down here. So you can see now he's missing a few toes. So I'm just going to add a few toes onto him. I've just seen this as well. Needs a bit of a, just where the sands, where it's been airbrushed, just to brighten the black up there. Right, so toes, I'm going to use a smaller brush. So I've got my brush down. I'm just going to put it on there. So let's get a smaller brush. So I'm going to use one sort of this size. It's quite thin, quite fine. So again, just a little dollop. And I'm just going to just touch his toes, just to brighten, make those. I think there's about 4 on each by the looks of it. So that's one. You can see his toes. I'm just going to do the ones on there, on his other foot. So where are we? And then another one on there. Perfect. You don't want to go over the top. You can see, so his toes are done. Right, now we've done the black parts. I'm quite happy with that. He's looking good. So I think what I'm going to do next is do a tiny bit of his, finish off his collar here. Now, the only thing I would say with the gold leaf is it's not water soluble, so you do need to use something quite strong or you could use soap, but it would take a little time to take this off the brush. So try to use an old brush and also something which is quite fine. Now the brush I'm using is probably one of the finest ones, and if you can see there, because it's a very small, intricate piece to do here. Right, and I can see he's missing quite a bit of gilding over here, so what we're going to do is give that a shake. And I'm just going to add a tiny bit and stick a bit on the plate here, I'll just do there. As I say, you don't need much of this, and once it's on, it's not going anywhere. Right, so you can see here, just going to do, very hard to do it when you're at an angle. Let's do it this way. I would usually have this laying down, which would be a lot easier, but he's coming together there now. I think what I'll do is I do need that. Very hard, so actually that's better. Now obviously his collar is going to go over the black parts here of his splodge, so we need to go across that as well. So I'm just going to do the side up to it first, I think, and then we can get a real good idea. And we can join it up. There we go. Let's do a bit more there. That's it. And then we'll just finish off on here. So you can see it just needs to tie in. Again, when you're doing it yourself, because I'm doing it myself, I'm having it stood up, but usually I would actually have it laying down to steady my hand. But just to show you, I'm trying to hold my hand that way and steady it. There we go. So his lead is on. So again, I wouldn't put this into water to rinse. I'm just going to leave it on the side for later so I can deal with that accordingly. So he's all painted up now, and he's kind of ready he needs to dry, and it's going to take around 20, I would leave it a good 24 hours for it to really dry and set, and then he will be varnished. Now the one I've done earlier, here we are, is here. So he's all ready, he's got his lead and he's ready for varnishing. Now with the varnish, I will use the rust-in ceramic glaze. Again, as I say, there are equivalents, and I'm going to use, you could use a brush which is just an ordinary paints brush, but I do like to use something sort of a nice flat brush because you can be quite quick. Now when you use any form of varnish, it dries very, very quickly. So when you're varnishing, you don't want to keep going over the same spot, because as it's drying, you're then going to get lots of brush marks. So you don't want to apply too much product on. You just need a tiny bit of product. Just go into, you almost want to just go down once or twice. You don't want to go over over the same area. Just you want to be quite quick because it does dry very fast. So what we're going to do is take this here. I've got a little bit spare still on my plate here, so I'm going to just put a bit of the glaze on here so I can just dip into it, and so I can keep closing this. You don't want to keep opening and closing the lid, as I say, because it does dry out. So I'd probably get about that amount. Now it does look quite, it does have a colour when you take it out, and it's quite cloudy, but it does dry clear. And what I like about this product is the fact that it doesn't go yellow over time, and it is also water-based. So I've got a bit on my brush here. So I'm just going to start with the top, and I'm just going to work my way down. Just go over a couple of times. And this gives it a lovely sheen, and it just blends in all the paint in with everything else. Oops. Sorry, the light keeps going. When you are painting, if you can, try to be by a window. It's a lot easier because then you can see the natural colour and the glow. I'm just going to blend it through with the original. Down there. Now if you had something which wasn't so shiny, had a little bit, was slightly cloudy, you could actually add a tiny bit of water with this glaze, because it would then make it slightly, as I say, not so shiny, more of a cloudy. I'll just glaze them on there. You can see it's all nice and shiny now and all blending in. I haven't overdone, I've just done it once or twice. Now I'm just going to work on the feet here. So again, tiny bit there. I'll pick him up, be very careful. This is glazed just so you can see him. So I'm just going to glaze the feet. So we put a bit bottom, work up. Just get a bit of glaze there. Blend it in. You can always wait if there's not enough glaze, and instead of going over and over once it starts getting tacky, just to leave it, and then once it's completely dry you can go back to it and glaze over again, or quite close to. You just don't want to be making too much glaze, and you certainly do not apply too much on the brush, otherwise you could end up with drips as well. Right, I'm quite pleased with that. It's sort of blending in. And he's done. Now that again, I would, although it's touchable after 2 or 3 hours, it really does take a good 10 days for it to completely dry and to be, for it to stay. So if you could leave it for a good 10 days, and then it's not going anywhere. So there we go. So this I can wash again, as I say, because it's water-based. This I'm now going to probably rinse it in hot water and then put some, I'll probably put some acetone on there just to get rid of it, and then a final rinse with some soapy water. That's with the gold glaze. So there we are. I'll wait for him till tomorrow, and then I'll finish him off, ready to take to my client. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and please share and please like. And also I do have plenty of playlists on painting, airbrushing, all sorts. And I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.